You'll be glad to know it's not my intent to bring you through a semiconductor course here. Maybe. I have a question for you. How many of you have children? Show of hands. Most everyone. For those of you who haven't, you've been children. So I think we can all recognize it in our kids, or we can remember back. Do we have a problem as innovators? When you look at your kids or think back to your childhood, we don't have a problem with innovation. We're innovation machines. A pot of paint is good enough for a typical kid, some scissors and a cardboard box, and we're inventing extraordinary things. So what's the problem? Does it drift? Does it disappear as we get older, do you think? There's some evidence to suggest that's the case. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that isn't. We have innovation in the kitchen. As my wife keeps reminding me, I'm not one of those. We have innovation in the garden. I don't have green fingers either. We have innovation with woodwork. We have innovation with music. We can sustain the natural tendency we have as creative machines that spills out of us in our childhood and can continue through our adulthood. And in some instances, we can become world-class innovators. We have a particularly proud tradition in this country of innovation of written language, a language relatively new to us, English, that we broke a lot of rules on. I think that was, to Anne's point earlier, a key part of what makes innovation what it is. There's a certain amount of respect for the rules that is necessary for us to actually manage to communicate in some manner or meaningful form. But if we subordinate ourselves to those rules to too great an extent, maybe that's not a good thing. And I think we've got a few Nobel Prize laureates out of this country for literature to thank. That attitude and that lack of respect for all the rules in delivering the kind of breakthroughs we have. So can we agree that at least as kids we're innovation machines and that we have an ability to sustain that through later years? And that that's always been the case. So let's assume that's right for a moment. Then the question becomes, what does it take to bring that innovative idea to market? Why is it that stat we heard earlier this morning from Brewer, I think it was, or actually it was from Minister Bruton, that a third of the ideas of significance on the planet are coming out of the European region, yet only a sixth of the significant ideas that make it are. There's something that's stopping us from crossing that energy barrier from an innovative idea, important though it is for us to get our heads around what allows you to deliver more innovative ideas, but there's something wrong in the ability to translate that. And I think there's some value in a brief step backwards and think about what that looked like through the centuries. So I'm going to run on this basis. We're all born innovators, and the question we need to wrestle with is, how do you turn innovation into a product or a service? And then how do you bring that product or that service to market? So roll it back a while. James Watt, inventor of the steam engine, deeply important. He was born into privilege. Is that a fair description? He was not an average punter. He wasn't like most of us in terms of the opportunities that he was born into. That was a significant differentiator. He was also not average in the country he was born into. He happened to be in a place, through military might, through financial prowess and many other means, could control the supply chain to take an idea, which is fundamentally powerful, and bring that idea to market in a substantial way. But the key innovation engine, simplistically spoken, if you go back a few hundred years, was born into privilege with a good idea and with access through your country to a means of getting it to market. Things changed, and that innovation engine became big companies. It seemed for a while like you had to have general in your title to be taken seriously, whether it was Motors, Electric, or Mills in this instance. But big companies became the vehicle through which you could bring that good idea to market. And we'd wrestle through patents, or you happen to be employed by that company, you get access to those opportunities, to those go-to-markets. And I failed to point out on the previous slide, but everyone recognize the quote? an individual called Karl Marx. His observation, power belongs to those that are in control of the means of production. I'm going to suggest that that's becoming less and less the case, and that whatever case there was, which has essentially crumbled around the planet for that form of government, has dwindled and will completely dwindle in the next period, because something fundamental is happening on the ability to bring your idea to market. In this phase, you had to be big. The small was always beaten by the big. You had to have scale in order to be successful, but if you could get in on that scale, then opportunities presented themselves. The last decade or so has been different. Everyone recognize these individuals? It's, if I put Bono up there, he wouldn't look any more familiar to most of us. Zuckerberg and Facebook, Hurley, Kareem, and Chen and YouTube, Page and Brin and Google, etc. And in the bottom right-hand corner, Robin Lee. If you're not familiar with him, I suggest you get familiar with him. You're going to see a lot more Robin Lees. This innovation deficit that we constantly describe or believe exists in China is not true. There are reasons why it has been problematic, structural reasons why they've had problems, but I spend a lot of time in China. It's an innovative country. It's working out how to bring its stuff to market in very significant and substantial ways. You're going to see a lot more Brins appearing on that side of the planet.